So in the previous video, we already discussed about the operator in C. So in this video, we are just going to learn about how to take input in C. So how to take user input? So let's first of all, I will go in file, then new one empty file, and I will just zoom it, Control S. In this C program, the name of the program, suppose I am taking user input.c. So first of all, we have to include the header file. So hatch include stdio.h, then void main, and here suppose first of all I want to take one integer type variable. So the variable name, suppose number1, take the value 67, and another variable int number2, and here taking the variable 64 value, and another variable int number3, or suppose I am taking the value as sum equals to number1 plus number2, and in the next line printf %d plus %d equals to %d. So first variable name will be number1, the second variable name will be number2, and the third one is sum. So here we have to give this end of line, compile this program, compile successfully, run it. Now you can see that 67 and 64, if we add these two numbers, 131 has come. So in this way we can just add two numbers what we have already discussed in the previous video. But here I am taking constant value, that is 67 and 64. So if I want to take the value from the user, at that time we have to use another function that will be scanf. So how I will just scan the value from the user? So here suppose keep the variable name as number1 and keep the variable name as number2. These are the just two variable declaration. I have just not assigned any kind of value over there. And there is another sum is another variable. Suppose these are three variables. So I have to take the input from the user. To take the input from the user, we have to write scanf, and here inside %d, because I want to take like integer type variable, for integer we have to use this format specifier %d, and then we have to write where I just want to store the value. It will be number1, so I just want to store the value inside this number1 variable. Suppose I just want to store one value. First I will take number1, then I will take the input number2. So at the time of taking input number1, so I will store the value what user will input in this number1 variable, and before this number1 we have to give one ampersand sign. This is the address of operator. So what is the function of this address of operator? Suppose here I am commenting out one line, and here I am writing this means address of. What is the meaning of address of? That means in our memory, when I just created the variable name number1, at that time one space is just reserved for this number1 variable. So here that location in memory, there will be one perfect location in memory, that suppose in 1000 number of location, at that time number1 variable is created. So I have to store that value in the 1000 location. Suppose the location number is 121. In memory, in 121 number of blocks, this number1 variable is created. So I have to take the value from the user, and I have to store the value in the 121 memory address. So here to store in that memory address, at the time of scanning the value from the user, we have to use this ampersand sign. But when we will print, we will not use the ampersand value. At the time of scanning, we have to use this ampersand sign. So here we have to give this end of line sign, then another scanf, because I want to take two variable %d, and I will scan the value in number2. So ampersand number2. So these are the two variable, and I will put these two value inside number1 and number2 variable. Then I just want to add these two. So sum equals to number1 plus number2. and then compile this program and run this program. So now first of all we have to give the first number. Suppose here I am first number 89, second number we have to put 54. Now it's showing 89 plus 54 equals to 143. So in this way very easily we can take the input from the user. Now if we again run this program, you can see that there no notification is there or no instruction is given over there to the user that enter the number, all this kind of instruction, nothing is there. So for that reason I will just write printf, and here I will write enter, suppose enter the first number, and then I will copy this line. So I forget to give this semicolon, and then again and enter the suppose second number, enter the second number, and here another semicolon. So if we compile this again and run the program, now you can see it's giving us the instruction enter the first number. So the user will print, suppose the enter the first number 45, enter the second number suppose 78. Now it's telling 45 plus 78 equals to 123. So in this way we can give the instruction to the user, and as well as we can just take the input from the user. Suppose I want to multiply two number, so then again compile and run this program. First number 8, second number 6. Sorry, the multiplication has just done, but here in the middle only plus sign is just printed. So here instead of this plus sign I will give multiplication sign, compile and run the program. First number suppose 7, second number 5, 7 into 5, the output will be 35. So in this way, instead of taking integer type variable, we also can take float type of variable. So here suppose number 1 is float, number 2 is also float, number 3 or sum is also float. And when I will take the input, at that time here we have to change this percentile d to percentile f, all are float variables. So here also I will change to float variable. And now if we compile and run this program, enter the first number, suppose I am giving 45.23, next number I am giving it and as integer, but then also it will take 47.00000 because I am storing it into one float variable. So the multiplication has just done and printed in the output. So taking input from the user is very easy in this C language.